We all know that Albert Einstein was the greatest genius in history. So brilliant that he could single handedly outthink thousands of scientists combined. Concepts that average humans could barely comprehend, let alone imagine, were envisioned, understood, and simplified for the entire world by Einstein. As a theoretical physicist, he astonished the global scientific community by formulating the theory of relativity and the famous equation E is equal to mc square, while his work on the photoelectric effect ultimately earned him the prestigious Nobel Prize. Observing his extraordinary capacity for deep thought and understanding, people believe Einstein possessed a special brain, uniquely distinct from an ordinary human's. Einstein himself was well aware of this fascination. Because of it, he explicitly instructed that no research be conducted on any part of his body after his death, requesting instead that his remains be cremated. However, the very thing Einstein feared ultimately came to pass. On April 18, 1955, when Einstein passed away at Princeton Hospital, the pathologist conducting the autopsy secretly removed his brain out of sheer curiosity to discover what made the world's greatest genius tick. Welcome back to another video by the Vertex Docs. The doctor who stole Einstein's brain was Dr. Thomas Harvey, a man far more fascinated by studying this unique brain than concerned with the personal consequences of his actions. A few days later, when Princeton Hospital discovered Dr. Harvey's actions, he was promptly terminated from his job. However, Dr. Harvey somehow managed to obtain permission from Einstein's son Hans Albert, arguing that he wanted to uncover the secret hidden inside his father's remarkable brain for the benefit of science. That day marked the beginning of a long and unusual journey for the brain. Dr. Harvey was a pathologist whose expertise was limited to performing autopsies. The belief that he could single-handedly conduct groundbreaking research on a genius brain was overly ambitious. Having lost his job and status at Princeton Hospital, Dr. Harvey took the brain, which he had already preserved, and traveled to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. There he took numerous high-resolution photographs of the brain, sliced it into 240 small blocks, preserved each piece in separate jars, and hid them in his basement. The obsession led to frequent arguments between Dr. Harvey and his wife, who repeatedly threatened to dispose of the jars. Eventually, the tension escalated to a divorce. Dr. Harvey then relocated with the brain to Wichita, Kansas, where he took a job as a medical supervisor in a biological testing lab, spending his spare time attempting to study the brain tissue. Over the following years, he moved from city to city, changing jobs while carrying the brain with him. Decades passed without Dr. Harvey producing any significant scientific findings. Eventually, his medical license was revoked and he was forced to take a job in a plastic factory. It was only then that he made a pivotal decision to send sections of the brain to top neuropathologists around the world for detailed analysis. In 1985, 30 years after the brain was originally taken, the first scientific study on Einstein's brain was published. Over the next 28 years, neuropathologists worldwide published multiple studies revealing distinct structural difference in Einstein's brain compared to an average human's. The most significant difference was found in the corpus callosum. To understand its importance, it helps to know how the human brain is structured. The brain is divided into two hemispheres. The left hemisphere controls the right side of the body, while the right hemisphere controls the left side. For roughly 90% of people, the left brain handles speech, comprehension, writing, and mathematical calculations, while the right brain, responsible for creativity, shapes recognition, art, and and musical skills. So what does the corpus callosum play? Imagine typing on a keyboard or a mobile phone using both hands. If your left hand makes a typo, your right hand instantly hits backspace to correct it. When your right brain registered the mistake, it instantly signaled the left brain to correct it. The nerve fibers connecting these two hemispheres and enabling rapid communication between them for the corpus callosum. In Einstein's brain, the corpus callosum was significantly larger than average. This enhanced connectivity between his left and right hemisphere allowed him to visualize and process highly complex problems and abstract scenarios simultaneously. Beyond the enlarged corpus callosum, the structural pattern of his brain different from average samples, which researchers believe facilitated an improved flow of neuronal signals. The heightened neuronal connectivity contributed to exceptional mathematical visualization. Einstein could solve complex mathematical problems mentally without needing pen and paper. Another finding noted in research papers relates to brain mass. Einstein's brain weighed 1230 grams compared to the average adult male brain weight of approximately 1400 grams. Researchers observed that his cerebral cortex was thinner, resulting in a higher density of neurons packed into specific regions. This raises a central question: was Albert Einstein born with a unique brain structure, or did these changes develop over time? Historical records show that Einstein struggled to speak fluently until he was around 4 years old, whereas most children begin speaking much earlier. Even after he began speaking, he was quiet and often lost in thought. He had difficulty with rote memorization, including simple multiplication tables. Instead of memorizing facts, he processed mathematics and numbers through logical principles. In school, Einstein struggled with subjects that required pure memorization, excelling primarily in mathematics and physics. When he was 12 years old, a family tutor left a geometry textbook at his house. Within a single day, Einstein read the entire book and mastered its concepts. By age of 14, he had mastered differential and integral calculus. His grasp of math and physics was so advanced that professors hesitated when he raised his hand, as his questions often exceeded the curriculum. From an early age, his primary goal was to express fundamental laws of the universe through concise equation. At age 26, Einstein published 4 groundbreaking research papers in a single year, which earned him his PhD and laid the foundation for his scientific legacy. To this day, modern physics relies heavily on his theoretical framework. Many neuroscientists conclude that Einstein's brain adapted and grew specialized over time because he constantly engaged in deep thought experiments to solve complex problems. When no answers were readily available, his brain structurally adapted to his intense cognitive demands from an early age. Today, preserved sections of Einstein's extraordinary brain are housed at the Mutter Museum in the Philadelphia, mounted on microscopic slides for scientific history. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you found it informative, please like, share and subscribe to the Vortex Docs. See you in the next video.